The wind whispered through the halls of the sect, carrying with it a tale of subtle intrigue and quiet tension. Elder Hu Yan, pale and weary, excused himself with a hurried wave, citing dizziness and pressing matters as his reasons for departure. Yet his words held no weight, for he vanished in a swirl of blue light before Tao Lord Yun could offer solace in the form of rest upon her ancient, profound ice bed. Such haste, Tao Lord Yun chuckled, her laughter soft and knowing. Yuan Bushao and the woman in black slipped away, unaffected by the playful exchange. The hall grew silent, and only the echoes of footsteps remained. Tao Lord Yun's brow furrowed as she turned to Ouyang Kuishan, her voice low but firm. What will become of those two elders, she asked. Ouyang Kuishan, ever composed, paused in thought, his eyes flickering with the weight of responsibility. Li Feiyu has done well, but his duty as a guardian elder faltered. A light punishment for Su Tongxiao is warranted, but no greater reprieve for Li Feiyu. Only recognition for his actions, he said. With that, Tao Lord Yun, her thoughts heavy with the weight of leadership, soared through the skies, a streak of white light fading against the vastness of the mountains. Her destination, a palace of white jade, shimmering with an ethereal glow. The glacial moon pond lay at its heart, its waters emanating a cold yet soothing aura, a perfect place for the cultivation of Bai Suyuan, her cherished disciple. Bai Suyuan, immersed in the cultivation of her moonlight immortal physique, greeted her mistress with a serene smile. Tao Lord Yun's gaze softened as she complimented the girl's beauty, teasing her lightly about future suitors. Yet the conversation soon turned serious, as the specter of the mysterious intruder from the trial loomed large. Stay within the sect, Tao Lord Yun advised, her voice grave. I will continue to search for the one who dared to breach our defenses. Bai Suyuan, ever the diligent disciple, nodded in silent understanding. Her thoughts briefly turned to Elder Li Feiyu, his sacrifice not forgotten. Tao Lord Yun, sensing her concern, only smiled knowingly. Elsewhere, in the deep recesses of a distant mountain range, a figure of vengeance stirred. Clad in simple garb, his mind consumed with rage, he swore to repay Li Feiyu for the destruction of his body. Though he had regained only a fraction of his strength, his hatred burned bright. Time passed, and Han Li, known to some as Worm 15, continued his work within the Transient Guild, his name growing in fame as a madman who could complete missions with the swiftness of a storm. Yet, his true nature remained hidden, his face veiled behind the mask of a lowly elder within the Blaze Dragon Dao. One evening, as Han Li tended to his garden of spirit herbs, the peaceful rhythm of his life was broken. A surge of energy, an azure glow, emerged from the mask in his secret chamber. The figure of Qilin 9, cloaked in the aura of a true immortal, appeared before him, his presence commanding. Why have you contacted me, fellow Taoist Qilin 9? Han Li's voice was steady, though beneath the calm surface, the currents of fate shifted once more. The azure figure spoke with a calm, measured tone. Do not be alarmed, fellow Taoist Worm 15. I seek your aid for a special mission. Han Li's sharp gaze met his. Our past encounters have been few. Why seek me out now, fellow Taoist? Qilin 9 offered a rare compliment. Your deeds speak for themselves, fellow Taoist. Though we have worked together once, the impression you left was profound. It is your reputation that has led me here. Han Li's smile was faint, his voice laced with caution. Flattery aside, I take it this mission requires a formidable hand? Qilin 9's response was dry. This task is indeed no simple matter. I cannot speak of its details unless you agree. Han Li remained unfazed. You can at least tell me where it lies? The Infernal Frost Continent, Qilin 9 revealed. At this, Han Li's brow furrowed. That is a perilous journey. My time is already spoken for. Qilin 9's voice held firm. I ask you to hear the reward before dismissing my offer. Han Li's expression hardened. Speak then. 300 immortal origin stones and a jade gleam cloud stone, said Qilin 9, his tone certain. Han Li's eyes narrowed. You've done your research. This was no mere happenstance. Qilin 9 smiled faintly. Years ago, your search for this stone went unanswered. Do you truly mean to pass up the opportunity? Han Li paused, deep in thought. The jade gleam cloudstone was a key material for a smelting technique he had learned, one capable of refining flying swords into much deadlier weapons. The opportunity was rare, and the time for hesitation was fleeting. And how large is the stone? Han Li finally asked. A fist-sized piece. Qilin 9 responded. Han Li weighed the choice carefully. Very well, I accept. Qilin 9's smile deepened. I knew you'd see reason. With your strength, we shall succeed. Han Li nodded. Now, tell me what I must do. The task is to infiltrate a valley in the snowstorm forest on the infernal frost continent, Qilin 9 explained. We must avoid triggering an array and eliminate a mid-true immortal cultivator. And what of the array? Any knowledge of its workings? Han Li inquired. We'll learn of that when we arrive. Qilin 9 answered. Qilin 17, standing nearby, grumbled. Always vague, these guild missions. Qilin 9 paid him no heed. Enough talk. Time is short. We depart now. With a wave of his hand, Qilin 9 summoned a grand Luchuan, golden and adorned with intricate runes. Its massive form shimmered with spiritual energy as it hovered, an awe-inspiring sight. We'll travel via Smoke Tomb Island. From there, we take a teleportation array to the infernal frost continent. Han Li and Qilin 17 followed Qilin 9 aboard the spirit boat, noting the dazzling design of the vessel. Figures resembling celestial maidens in rainbow robes stood still as statues. Upon closer inspection, Han Li realized they were puppets, each crafted with exquisite detail. Choose your floor and make your needs known to the puppets, Qilin 9 instructed before ascending to the top level. Qilin 17, ever mischievous, reached out to caress one of the puppets, remarking on its soft texture, before retreating to the second floor with a chuckle. And so, the three embarked on their journey, the path ahead filled with unknowns, but driven by the promise of power and secrets yet to be uncovered. After a burst of tremors, the golden-veined spirit boat rose into the air, its runes glowing with golden light, heading toward the frozen sea. Han Li, standing at the bow with hands clasped behind his back, gazed into the vast, icy expanse ahead. A desolate white land stretched as far as the eye could see, with jagged black rocks and towering ice mountains dotting the frozen sea, all shrouded in mist. The silence was eerie, save for the distant auras of powerful demon beasts that cowered in fear of Han Li's presence. His mind wandered back to the thunderstorm sea, marveling at the vastness and diversity of the northern glacial immortal region, which seemed like a realm untouched by the mortal and spirit realms. A memory, long buried in his heart, of his brief journey through the spirit realm as a pair of lovebirds surfaced. The pain of parting with loved ones had shaped his solitary path. As he gazed at the barren world around him, thoughts of Wanar surfaced. If she were here, we could roam freely through this land together. He murmured to himself, wondering how she was faring. A year passed. On a circular island amidst the frozen sea, Han Li and his companions descended from their spirit boat. The island, resembling a massive white plate, was dotted with pillars inscribed with runes and spirit stones, forming a grand array. Their disguises were perfected. Qilin 9 as a burly man, Qilin 17 as a scholarly figure, and Han Li as a youthful but fair-skinned man. They entered a hall made of white stone, where an elderly man with a white beard sat cross-legged on a stone platform. His cultivation level, early true immortal, and Blaze Dragon Dao attire revealed his importance. After a brief exchange, the man led them toward the center of the island, passing through a narrow path adorned with runes. Fellow Taoist, is he of the Blaze Dragon Dao? Han Li asked in a whisper. Qilin 9 confirmed, explaining that the teleportation array between this island and the infernal frost continent was the only one under the Blaze Dragon Dao's control, unlike the one on Extreme Ice Island, which was governed by the Northern Glacial Immortal Palace. Arriving at the plaza, they were led to a circular stone array. The elder spoke to another middle-aged man dressed similarly, confirming that the teleportation could now begin. As the array activated, brilliant white and blue light illuminated the surroundings, and a thunderous rumble signaled their departure. In an instant, they were transported to the infernal frost continent, where fierce winds howled and ice spikes pierced the snowy sea. Above them, a massive light barrier surrounded an island, and Han Li and the others emerged from the array, feeling the strain of the long journey. A cold voice greeted them. The elderly woman, clad in white, instructed them to move toward the icy hall at the island's northern edge. Inside, a round-faced elderly man welcomed them, requesting 3 more immortal origin stones each for their journey onward. The cost was steep, but it was expected. Han Li noted the price, 20 immortal origin stones for a round trip, a sum far greater than he'd ever imagined. The elderly man gestured toward a door as the group proceeded. The moment they stepped outside, they were met with heavy snow and an overwhelming glacial aura. The cold stung like a blade, and Han Li couldn't help but reflect on the perilous journey ahead. His thoughts turned inward as his fists clenched. The road of cultivation was a treacherous one, and he wondered when he would finally stand tall, without fear, before the world. Snow winds howled like ancient beasts as Han Li stood among the gathered cultivators, their figures soon blooming with radiant protections. Jade pendants glowed with gentle warmth, fiery belts shimmered with spiritual heat, and frost-insulating robes fluttered like battle banners in the gale. A savage roar split the frozen air. From the blizzard burst a colossal snow rhinoceros, its white hide gleaming like carved jade, murderous aura rolling outward in waves. One cultivator leapt onto its back, spurring it forward. The beast thundered across the ice, smashing through jagged spikes as though tearing paper, vanishing in moments like a streak of living frost. Others followed, each summoning snow wolves, ice lions, and spirit steeds, riding them into the storm. In but a few breaths, only Han Li and the two Qilins remained. Qilin 9 swept his gaze across the empty wasteland, then summoned the golden-veined spirit boat. Golden light flared as the trio boarded, and the vessel sliced through the frozen heavens toward the infernal frost continent. Half a month later, dark clouds brooded over the frozen sea, and cutting winds screamed across endless ice. The spirit boat surged forward when suddenly a violent jolt shook it to its core. Han Li's eyes snapped open. He rushed out to see a monstrous black tentacle coiled around the railing, stretched tight as it dragged the boat toward a yawning hole in the ice below. From that abyss rose a gargantuan-scaled octopus, half its body heaved above the surface, its grip tightening with savage strength. Insolence! A furious roar rang out as a golden streak burst from the upper pavilion. In a flash, the tentacle was severed into fragments. The next instant, the octopus's massive body exploded, black blood spraying across the ice like ink from a shattered cauldron. Han Li's heart stirred. The beast possessed only grand ascension power, yet its scaled defenses were notoriously tough. To annihilate it in a blink meant Qilin 9 wielded fearsome law abilities, sharp enough to cleave through heaven-born armor itself. 3 months drifted by like falling snow. The southern reaches of the infernal frost continent unfolded into a colossal mountain chain, branching again and again like a frozen centipede crawling across the earth. Each peak pierced the clouds, cloaked in ice and snow, with only streaks of black stone exposed where glaciers had slid away. Above, the sky shone blue and pure, the sun like a golden talisman casting gentle light, yet no warmth touched this realm of eternal frost. To the east of one southern branch rose twin mountains over 10,000 feet high, like two silver swords thrust toward the heavens. Between them yawned a deep valley, its mouth opening onto a vast snowland stretching tens of thousands of kilometers. Ancient cedars towered across the plains, most buried beneath thick drifts, leaving only snow-capped tips that resembled countless white pagodas. Suddenly, dull roars rolled across the wilderness. From beneath the snow, a pair of furry white ears twitched, swiveling to catch the sound before advancing toward the valley. Massive booms followed as giant trees were flattened, snow exploding into the air while a deep trench carved itself through the land. The creature emerged, a monstrous snow rabbit over 100 feet tall, crimson eyes burning with savage hunger. Reaching the valley's entrance, it launched itself forward. Boom! An unseen force hurled it backward like a discarded toy. Snarling, the beast gathered its strength and charged again with even greater fury. Golden light flared in the air, forming a rune-filled barrier. A thin bolt of golden lightning shot forth, striking the rabbit squarely. Its body blackened in an instant before exploding in a cloud of scorched flesh and bitter smoke. Moments later, 3 figures emerged from the trench in the forest. Han Li and the 2 Qilins. They halted before the valley mouth. "What say you, fellow Taoists?" Qilin 9 asked calmly. "If I'm not mistaken, this is the ancient Golden Peak lightning array," Qilin 17 replied. "The lightning just now was but a fraction of its true might." Qilin 9 nodded. The array cores should lie within those twin mountains, likely metal attribute treasures of spirit treasure rank or higher, The array's domain covers both peaks and the entire valley. Han Li remained silent, eyes fixed on the shimmering barrier. You've noticed something, fellow Taoist Worm 15? Qilin 9 asked. I've heard of the Golden Peak lightning array, but never witnessed it, Han Li said slowly. It is famed for both unbreakable defense and terrifying offense, unleashing lightning like a miniature tribulation. Yet that strike just now was powerful, but strangely restrained. That rabbit was too weak to provoke a full response, Qilin 17 snorted. Then what do you think this is? Qilin 9 pressed. Han Li shook his head. I don't know its name. I only feel that this array is far more profound than it appears. Qilin 17 scoffed. If you don't even recognize it, you may as well stay silent. Han Li ignored the jab, gaze unwavering. Since you're certain it's the Golden Peak lightning array, can we bypass it without alerting whoever lies within? Qilin 9 asked. Qilin 17 pondered. The cores are the two mountains, with 81 lightning-restraining wood pillars forming its foundation. Disrupt either, and the array collapses. But to pass through unnoticed, we must assimilate with the array itself. We must alter our auras to match the metal cores or the lightning foundation, Qilin 9 added. Only then can we slip through without triggering it. The change must be instantaneous, Qilin 17 said, glancing at Han Li. Any delay could still provoke the array. Fellow Taoist Worm 15, if you have no better idea, we'll proceed as planned, Qilin 9 said. Han Li frowned. Ordinarily, that method would work, but this array's lightning is unnaturally concentrated and fierce. If we misjudge it, I fear we'll end like that snow rabbit. Hesitation flickered across Qilin 9's eyes. His instincts had aligned with Qilin 17's view, yet Han Li's rising reputation within the transient guild gave weight to his warning. Otherwise, he would have charged ahead without a second thought. The golden barrier shimmered silently between the twin peaks, like heaven's judgment waiting to fall. The three cultivators stood at the valley's entrance, the air charged with anticipation. We shall see if my method proves successful, Qilin 17 declared confidently. But once our target falls, the treasures will be mine to claim first. Before Han Li could respond, Qilin 9 interjected, his tone serious. A sound plan, fellow Taoist Qilin 17. However, we must first erect a spatial sealing array to prevent our approach from being detected. Without hesitation, the trio split to carry out their tasks, and after a day's work, they reconvened as twilight fell. Qilin 9 chanted a verse, and with a flick of his finger, an invisible ripple surged outward, forming a faint spherical barrier around the valley, encompassing hundreds of miles. The sealing array is in place. It is now your turn, fellow Taoist, Qilin 9 said, turning to Qilin 17. With a nod, Qilin 17 stepped forward, producing a golden talisman that shimmered in his hand. Pressing it to his forehead, the runes flared to life and entered his mind. A surge of golden lightning crackled around him, and in an instant, his form blurred into a streak of lightning that zipped into the valley. There was a faint pop, but the disturbance was brief, and Qilin 17 disappeared from sight. It seems the method works, Qilin 9 exclaimed, eyes gleaming. Yet Han Li frowned, sensing an odd presence in the air. Qilin 9, too, looked up, his expression darkening as something stirred in the heavens. Without warning, a figure, crackling with golden lightning, fell from the sky, crashing into the snow-covered earth with a thunderous impact. A deep crater formed as golden lightning exploded outward, burning the trees around it. Rushing to the scene, Han Li and Qilin 9 found Qilin 17 battered, yet alive, his body charred, but no major harm done. What happened? Qilin 9 asked. This is no simple array, Qilin 17 grunted, wiping the soot from his face. It's not just the Golden Peak lightning array. There's more at work here. Han Li's expression shifted, his thoughts racing. It seems this is a fusion of the Golden Peak lightning array and a spatial array, he mused. Qilin 17, now recovered and dressed anew, looked to Han Li with newfound respect. So you believe the lightning was controlled by the spatial array? Han Li nodded. The array likely uses spatial manipulation to eject you, and the lightning follows as retaliation. Qilin 9 frowned. Whoever resides here clearly wishes to keep intruders at bay. Han Li's gaze grew sharp. Indeed, this is no ordinary formation. It's meant to prevent anyone from entering or leaving easily. Qilin 9's eyes flashed coldly. If we cannot sneak in, we must destroy the array's core and force our way in. Hanli raised a hand. Wait, I have an idea. I know a technique combining lightning and spatial power, instantaneous teleportation through a fusion array. If I can match the power fluctuations of this array, we may pass undetected. The chances of success? Qilin 9 inquired. Hanli hesitated. 50%. Qilin 17 frowned. A 50% chance of retaliation from this array? After a pause, Qilin 9 made up his mind. We will follow your method. If it fails, we will fight our way in. The plan set, Hanli stood before the valley's entrance, closing his eyes to attune himself to the array's energies. Moments later, arcs of silver lightning coiled around him, forming a massive array over 100 feet wide. Step closer, fellow Taoists, he instructed. The two complied, and with a swift gesture, Han Li compressed the array to a mere 10 feet, wrapping them in a tightly controlled storm of lightning. In the blink of an eye, they vanished. Moments after, golden lightning shot forth from the invisible barrier at the valley's edge, but the trio was already gone. Their figures now streaking through the air within a silver tempest. A violent crash sent them careening towards a nearby cliff, but Han Li regained his composure, launching himself backward. Qilin 9 and Qilin 17 followed suit, landing gracefully. We made it, Han Li sighed. The array's spatial forces are stronger than I anticipated. Regardless, we've entered the valley, Qilin 9 said, unfazed. They surveyed their surroundings, finding a barren land dotted with rocks and a lone stone structure at the valley's center. The origin chi here was thick, far surpassing that of the Beltol mountain range. Atop the black stone hall, smoke billowed in 5 colors. With a shared glance, the trio ascended toward the hall, where scorching heat poured from the skylight. Inside, a golden pill cauldron hovered above an intricate array of fiery runes, surrounded by 8 fiery dragons that churned waves of intense heat. An elderly man in purplish golden robes stood at the array's edge, his face gaunt, eyes fixed on the cauldron with fanatical intensity. The runes began to glow brightly, and the cauldron's golden light turned into a burst of 5 colors. The old man's murmurs grew frantic. It's happening! It's happening! Suddenly, 2 beams of golden light pierced through the stone door, splitting it into pieces with a loud crash.